Hello there. I haven't YouTubed for a while, so I thought I'd put a quick video together on a couple of, what would you call them, notepad computers, I suppose? Yeah, let's go with that. Don't know why I did that, I wasn't really quoting anything. Anyway, yes, so I've got two. I've got the Cambridge Z88 computer from 1988 and the Amstrad Notepad NC100 from 1992. So they're released quite a few years apart, so it's probably not fair to do a side-by-side comparison, but I'm going to do one anyway, so yeah. Right, so we'll start with the older of the two, which is the Cambridge Z88, and this was released, as I've said, in 1988 by Cambridge Computer, and that was one of Clive Sinclair's companies. So when he sold his Sinclair computer division to Amstrad, he went in and brought these out. Now, rumours flying about that these are an offshoot from Sinclair Research's Pandora project, and the Pandora project was the Spectrum-based portable computer at Sinclair Research. I would say this bears no resemblance to a Spectrum whatsoever, so I don't know how true that is. Anyway, it is a portable computer with 32k of RAM. It's expandable to 128k of RAM with an expansion slot at the front. It's running a Z88 CPU running at 3.27 MHz. I think that's the low power version of that CPU. Running time, well, it runs on 4 AA batteries, and allegedly it will run for 20 hours. Standby time is given it a year. Operating system, it's got its own custom and it's called OZ. Display, it's 8 lines by 400 and... no, it's not. It's 8 lines by 640 pixels using something called a super twisted LCD display. So let's take a tour around it. So it's got your typical Sinclair keyboard. So it's a membrane underneath with a squishy rubber pad, but it actually doesn't feel that bad to type on. And I think you can enable an electronic click on it as well. Down that side we've got power supply, we've got a reset, and we've got the brightness control for the LCD. On the front, we've got some expansion slots, so I've got 128k of RAM in there. A PC link card for connecting up to computers. I don't have the lead to go with it, and there's a spare slot there as well. On the other side, I think that's an RS-232 port. Underneath, battery compartment and the stand. So let's fire it up. So to switch these on, there is no on switch as such, you just hit both the shift buttons together and it fires up. Right, let me just reposition that camera to get a better look at the display. Right, please excuse the shaky camera work, I'm having to hold this. This is not the easiest thing to film. So, on the left hand side we have all the applications, and this came with a diary, a Pipe Dream, which is a built-in word processor spreadsheet database thing. Actually has a copy of BBC Basic on there. A calculator, because yeah, it was the 80s, why not? Calendar. A clock. Now the clock does run an alarm as well. There is some built-in PC Link software as well for hooking up to a computer. It's also got a function called Ed Driver, and that's for connecting to serial printers and that sort of thing. Not sure how well it's going to come up on the camera, but it's actually a very, very easy display to read when you're actually sitting in front of it and using it. So this area here, that would show you any running applications. So let's run something. Actually, let's go into the clock. Oh, and of course, because the battery died. Yeah. Yeah, let's just get rid of that. Apparently it's 1987. What have we got? Alarm. Filer. Right, so you can load and save documents onto this. You can load and save basic programs, anything like that. Of course, if your battery dies, because it's all held in volatile memory, you're going to lose all your documents as well. That's where the backup comes in for the computer, I suppose. Now, there is no backup battery as such. It simply runs off the 4 AA's to keep the memory going, but there is a supercapacitor which allows limited time with the batteries out, just enough time to change the batteries that you don't lose your settings and your documents. Like I said, the keyboard's actually quite pleasant to type on. It looks terrible, but it's quite satisfying. It does have a little bit of a feel to it when you press the keys. It's a little bit better than a Spectrum, I would say. Yeah. The manual it comes with is really comprehensive, so it covers absolutely everything. So the FCC compliance statements. So I don't know if they actually did sell these in America, but they clearly intended to. Goes into setting it up and really deep into the pipe dream software of how to create spreadsheets and Word documents, I suppose. Little bit on BBC Basic. Yeah, it's not a bad manual. It's not a bad manual. I should probably read it one day and find out how to use this thing properly. What were these used for? Yeah, people on the go, I would think. So, busy person on the train maybe could take it with them to work. They could write up a few memos and documents on the way, print it off when they got to work maybe. I don't know. That sort of thing. It's very much a business machine. I believe you can play games on them. I've seen people hack them in such a way that they will run some games, but that's certainly not what they were intended for. I might take this to work with me tomorrow actually and just sit with it on the train and just see how many stares I get and see if anyone bothers to ask what it is. I don't know. Okay, on with the Amstrad, and this was released in 1992 and it's got 64 kilobytes of RAM. It also runs a Z80 CPU, and this time it's run at 4 MHz. The display is 80 columns by 8 rows. Running time, again, this is running on 4 AA batteries, about 20 hours. Standby time, I've no idea because I can't find any reference to it anywhere, but it doesn't rely on the AA batteries like the Sinclair does. It actually has a separate lithium battery, so I would imagine their standby is going to be at least a year and quite possibly even longer. I'm sure it'd last a very long time if you've got a high quality battery in there. So I would say advantage straight away there for the Amstrad. It's got a spring-loaded keyboard. Now, it's not the greatest feeling thing in the world, but it does the job. It's a little bit like an Amstrad CPC, Spectrum Plus 2 onwards. Similar feel, a little bit more spongy, I would say. It has your standard alarm clock, calendar, diary. It also has a BBC Basic editor, calculator, address book, has a word processor. This actually has a spell checker in it as well, which is something the Sinclair doesn't. So let's take a tour. So this one does have a dedicated on-off button. Spring-loaded keyboard that we talked about. And on the side there, what's that? Memory card expansion, that's all it says. On the back we've got serial and parallel ports, power socket, and on the other side the contrast control for the LCD screen. Nothing on the front. Underneath, 2 feet, battery compartment, another battery compartment for the lithium battery, that's for your memory, and there's a trapdoor there. I think the ROM's under there for some bizarre reason. Screen, it's nice and clear. Maybe not quite as crisp as the Sinclair's. I would say the Sinclair's got a better display, but it's perfectly functional. It's absolutely fine. And it starts up with this little splash screen saying, do you want to use the word processor, the calculator, or the diary address book? And for each, you've got a combination of coloured keys to press. So that's how simple it was to use. It was specifically designed, and it even says there, user-friendly, and it really is. This computer also comes with a pretty good manual. In fact, there's a letter from Alan Sugar on the first page, confessing that he's a little bit of a technophobe and he's not one for computers, but he believes that this computer is so easy to use that he's written the first chapter. So yeah, the entire first chapter was written directly by Alan Sugar. Now this machine does have a bit of an interesting quirk. I've managed to find a Y2K bug actually. So if we have a look at the calendar, which is gonna be yellow and blue. There we go, and green. So this has been set to 1st of October 2019 at 7:30, which is correct. And that calendar works absolutely perfectly. However, let's go to the word processor. So yellow and red. Have a new document. Oh yeah, we've got to give it a name because it auto saves. I don't know. Just whatever. Okay, and this is a test, and if I press symbol and D, it should insert the date. And we've got the 1st of October 2511, so there should be Buck Rogers flying about somewhere. Now, if I set the calendar to before 2000, I don't have that issue. But yeah, so the calendar looks fine. It's showing the correct date and day, but when you come to insert the date into a document, you're going to get this weirdness. Just an interesting quirk. So there it is. That's all I really wanted to do. Put together a very, very quick video just to give a very, very brief overview on these two machines. I appreciate I haven't gone into much detail with it, but it's mainly because I don't have a full understanding of these machines myself yet, and I don't want to give out incorrect information. Having said that, if there's something you're unsure about or you want me to look into, by all means drop me a line while I've got them, and I'll happily investigate. I don't mind. Also, if I may ask, if anyone who's watching this has owned or owns one of these, bought one new back in the day, what did you do with it? I mean, what did you use it for, and how did it serve you? Did it live up to expectations? Was it a waste of money? I'd be really interested to know. Anyway, I'm done. Thank you very much. I'll see you on the next one, and take care.